Brian Tighe? Out the front? What the hell has the world turned into? Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back. We're going to take a look at a brand new style of knife for Brian Tighe. More specifically, Brian Tighe and Friends, which is the Midtech category of Brian Tighe knives. Brian has decided to come out with his spin on an out-the-front knife, and of course he launched that with his customs, done in Damascus and Damasteel and all kinds of really cool, exotic, beautiful things, and he brought some of those to the Tactical Knife Invitational, TKI 2019, in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, he was all sold out by the time I saw him the next day, so instead of getting a nice fancy full custom, which I'm still thinking about doing maybe around Blade Show time, I was able to get my hands on this, the Brian Tighe and Friends version, and it is marked on the side, everything that you need to know. It is the Twist Tighe out the front with the Tanto edge. He does a couple of different blade profiles, and this one has the serial number right on there. We'll show you the rest of the packaging in a moment. But I cannot stress enough how much I love this design. And there's a couple of specific reasons for it. If you're buying the custom, you expect really amazing machining because that's what Brian is known for. But what you're looking at here is a more budget-friendly model in the Midtech that really puts it price-wise in with many of the Heretic Knives offerings and the standard, more commonly available Microtech offerings. Yet you're getting upgrades here that you shouldn't be expecting. You really shouldn't be expecting. Number one, the machining in the body. It is exceptional. It is beautiful. It is well sculpted. While everything is very clearly defined, all the edges that would be left from the machining are softened. So there's no harsh edges, but it doesn't look too soft. Everything is very clearly defined in all of the line work. Just gorgeous. Even the switch is beautifully done. I thought at first it was carbon fiber, but I do believe it might just be G10. I'm really believing that it is. But just gorgeous. My camera is not wanting to focus for some reason, but there is the switch. And to me, this is one of the biggest deals. You look at, and this is not a knock against Heretic Knives in any way. I love my Cleric #1. But one of the things that they do to keep the cost down on these is they give you a rather simple bent metal clip. Nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people say, well, you know, I kind of wish it was a nicer clip. Brian went all out for this clip. Number one, it's standing up on risers. Number two, it is fully sculpted, beautifully done, and it's got the Todd Begg style ball bearings set into it. So you've got the smaller bearing on the outside and the larger one on the inside. That doesn't roll. For those that don't know or have never owned a Todd Begg knife or whatnot, it's there to allow you to have maximum tension without an entire clip dragging on your pocket. So that's your main contact point there. And because it's round, it pops into the pocket very easily, and it stays there very securely, and it slides out easily without just falling out of your pocket. It allows you to put a lot of tension on the clip without making it impossible to get in and out of the pocket. It's a brilliant design. Todd's a brilliant guy, and a lot of people now are following his lead on that. The first question everyone is going to ask is, what's the blade play like? Because when you get a dual action out the front as opposed to a single action like a Halo, there's always going to be a little bit of blade play. The only one that really, there's been two that have been able to avoid blade play at all. That's the Gavin Hawk Deadlock and the old Sand Shark. What was it? Desert Blade Works, I think, is the company that made it. And the Sand Shark was legendary. And now to buy one, you're going to pay, 5 times what they retailed at and everything else. And then, of course, the Deadlock is a very, very expensive knife as well. Here you're looking at an affordable, easy to get your hands on knife. I don't know the full retail yet because these just released when I picked this up at the Vegas show. And I was very fortunate to get this from Chris over at Knife Joy. I had set him up as a dealer for my knives, and I was delivering a couple knives to him. And I said, hey, man, I really want to get my hands on one of these. Can you grab one for me? And, we'll work out a deal. I'll either, take that money off your next order, or I'll just pay you for it or whatever. And he kind of gave me a bro deal. So I don't remember the full retail. I want to say it was sub $350. So let's just call it $350. What you're getting for the money is just, it's incredible. It's crazy. Let's get into the packaging really quick, and then we'll talk about the dimensions and the blade steel and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so getting into the packaging, rather generic, basic packaging. Again, they're keeping the cost down. I'd rather them keep it down on the packaging than keep it down on the knife. So basic cardboard box. On the end, as I showed you before, is all the information you need to know about that particular model. Open it up, get the foam out of the way. The knife will be slipped into this plastic sleeve, and then you get this warranty card right here. So you got your serial number and all that kind of good stuff. So not a lot of flash going on in the packaging. Yeah, I'm kind of a packaging guy. I like to see something nice. But, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. Obviously, this costs money to have these done and custom made and everything. And it's not too dissimilar from getting a Hinderer or an older Chris Reeve that just came in a cardboard box. So nothing wrong with that at all. Getting into the specs, you're looking at 9 inches overall with a 3.625 inch blade. So a nice, good, full-size blade length on here. This is done in a two-tone, so what you've got here is a richly bead-blasted set of bevels, and then a hand-rubbed satin for the flats. These are S35VN. They are made in the USA. And extraordinarily sharp. Very thin edge, very bitey, very grabby, very, very sharp. I've only used this to cut a few things so far in the 2 weeks that I've had it. And I tell you right now, it slices like a laser. Now, they're flat ground, S35VN. I like S35VN. It's a great blade steel. Obviously, you buy any Chris Reeve, that's what you're going to be getting and expecting, and it's certainly going to perform fine. I did just verify while I took that little break to set up the packaging here. These are $350. So what do you get for $350? All right, so you look at my Heretic. This was a lot more because it's one of the hand-ground custom versions, but the base version of a Cleric #1 is around the same price as this. Now, I love this knife. I truly do. That's why I still have it. I really enjoy carrying this knife. Here I've got something that's a little bit bigger, about the same thickness, about the same width, and oddly enough, the tie is a little bit lighter. Maybe it's all the material they're removing in the machining, but even though this is all aluminum, this is only half aluminum with carbon fiber, there's something about the Heretic that's just a hair heavier. The action on this is fast, it's positive, it has not derailed or jammed on me at all, no matter what I do to it. Fast, slow, downward, upward, it just doesn't matter. It is fired 100% of the time. Now, I can't guarantee that's the way it's going to be for every single one, because that's the nature of it out the front. They're not always going to be the most reliable. However, I have found this to be one of the most reliable I've ever had, because you're always you're gonna play with it, and you're gonna kind of just see what are my limits on this right when you first get it. How fast can I flick that thing before it derails? And I've made almost every out the front I've owned derail, except for I really can't think of any of the really high-end $1,500 plus Marfione customs that derailed, but maybe they didn't, I don't remember. For 350 bucks, this is incredible. Now, most of you know that I am a big fan of out-the-front automatic knives, and I buy in all kinds of different price ranges, but I tend to just buy the best of what I like. So you're never going to see a Lightning out the front here on my channel. Sorry, that's just never going to happen. I just don't buy garbage. But I will buy standard production Microtechs from time to time, but in a specific finish or blade or something that I find to be a little bit more unique. And then you're spending that $285 to $500 in that range, which this falls right in the middle of. Then the Marfione customs, which are all, over $1,000. Fine, this is obviously much less expensive. I really, really like this. I've had great luck with both of the Heretics that I've owned, and I love them, but they're all more expensive. So if you're looking, number one, you're just an out-the-front automatic knife fan, you want something that's different than what everybody else is offering, then this is going to absolutely be something that you need to own. Seeing this beautiful machine work done in the body, the beautiful sculpted clip, just the way the whole thing is put together, the unique blade shape to this Tanto specifically. I love the way the grinds were done on this with that trailing swedge where it just kind of goes upward and disappears. I love it. But also, if you're looking for an out the front and you don't want to break the bank, and you're trying to find a good quality one that's still not uber expensive. I mean, just look at like a Microtech Combat Troodon. You're going to spend $450. You're looking at a Scarab, $500 and up. And that's for basic standard production versions, which is what this size is. I mean, if you go down to the Ultratech, which is smaller, yeah, you could definitely save yourself $50. But when you're in that price-conscious shopping mode for a higher-end knife, I'm telling you right now, there is not another that I can think of that is going to rival this knife. Out of all the knives that I picked up from the show 2 weeks ago, this is the one that I've been playing with the most. It's gone in the pocket the most. I've been enjoying it tremendously. It's a fun knife. It's a very practical knife. It's very, very, very well made. Nice balance to it. Nice feel in the hand. You don't really see it, but there's a little bit of contouring here in the frame that actually makes it comfortable to hold in a couple of different positions. It's not just a straight rectangular flat body. There's curves to it that you don't see because your eye is drawn to this pattern, but there are actually curves to this body that make it fall right into your hand and do so very, very comfortably. That's another reason why I'm so impressed with this. It just feels great in the hand. Forget how great the action is. Forget the fact that the blade barely moves. There is very little side-to-side, up and down play. There's no in and out play at all. Very little play. Probably the least amount I've seen in any out the front double action. So I'm extremely impressed with that. Just the whole package. It was well thought out and well done. So if you can't afford to spend, $1,200, $1,800, $3,000 for one of the custom versions and any of the various materials, do not feel like you're settling or sacrificing by buying the Midtech. Because if you go back, my love affair with Brian Tighe knives goes all the way back to 2009. It was Brian Tighe's knives that got me interested in custom knives first by seeing the pictures of the Bengal, which was the 10-piece collaboration he did with Joel Perella. This is what turned me on to custom knives, got me out of production knives and went, oh my God, there's a whole other world I didn't know about. But I couldn't get that right away. It took years to find one of these. But this was the very first custom knife that I ever owned. The Tycoon Flipper pre-IKBS, still tip down carry. And to this day, it's still one of the most beautiful knives I've ever owned. Brian's talent is nearly boundless. And I know that I embarrass him a little bit by always gushing over his work and the fact that he got me into custom knives and has held me there. And I try to buy a knife from him, you know, once a year, once every couple of years when I see him at a show. I always try to buy a knife from him. He is one of my favorite people and one of my favorite knife makers to have ever lived. To sort of see him get into this subset, this automatic knife out the front subset of custom knives and Midtech knives, I couldn't have been more excited. And as I hold this, as I play with this, I don't feel that I've sacrificed by not buying the custom. Will the custom be nicer? Absolutely, in probably every way. I haven't had a chance to handle one yet. But this absolutely blows away the majority of production out the front knives that I've handled in this price range and a little bit higher. The detail work and the aesthetics of it blow almost all of them away, right? Like right out of the water. The upgrade of the higher quality clip as opposed to a bent metal clip of some sort. The proprietary hardware, which is gorgeous. Some people will bitch that they can't take their knife apart. Well, that's just the way it is, sorry. But it is a beautiful touch that makes this feel like the custom. And the fact there is no hardware on the top side. It is beautifully, beautifully made. And it feels like quality. It is quality. And to know that you could do that for $350 when there are a lot of other knives out there that maybe aren't quite as refined, that you'll spend $100 more or even beyond that, makes this, in my opinion, one of the best deals in the knife market today, period. So if you have an interest in out the front automatics, definitely give these a look. They're everywhere. They're at Blade HQ, they're at Knife Joy, any of the major Brian Tighe outlets, you're gonna find them until they sell out. And yeah, I'm always looking forward to the next knife that Brian makes because there's something about his style, his machining, and his quality that blows me away. And the fact that he partnered up with Dave to do these Midtechs, the quality of machining that they are putting out of the Midtech shop is truly awe-inspiring. I had a chance to review their very first collaboration a couple of years ago, and I still stand behind that as being a very solid value. I am, however, much more excited about this. Yeah, damn, that's sharp. This is wild. This is cool. And if you like how it looks, I can promise you this, you'll be more impressed when it's actually in your hand.